Alright, next up we have追憶のナスカby Broken by the Scream. This is a very special LFA. This is the first one I'm doing one offline, so off of stream. I'm still doing this in one take because I want to. And most importantly, this should go into our new slot. Now we're uploading 3 LFAs a day. That's just how much we've been able to get. And also, this was brought to you by Phantom Dentist. He bribed me into making this, and so here we are. This is a 15-minute song, so I'm making this for offline for that reason. Also, there should be an announcement regarding Geometry Dash songs. I think we will be able to do them starting on Monday. So I think the Discord announcement should go into effect very soon, but I'm happy for that. So, once again, everybody, this is a Basterd's LFA, a layman-friendly analysis. I am a professionally trained musician, a composer, and my objective here is to explain things in a way that you don't have to be a professionally trained musician to understand what is happening here musically. So if you like the sound of that, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You like the video, share the video, turn on notifications, all that kind of stuff. And keep in mind this is being recorded in a single take. As if we were on stream, I don't want to keep it too far from the original format. So I might stumble on my words like I did just now. And I'm going to be pausing a lot as I will be explaining things as I pick them up. So without any further ado, let's do this. Broken by the Scream. Let's go. Okay. We're 4 seconds in, and we already have a couple of really, really cool concepts over here. Number one, we go back to the good old panning. We have, of course, the concept of panning. Most headphones nowadays are split into two, left and right. Because of the two sources that we have, you have two ears, one in the left, one in the right, and most of us have that still working. The concept of panning is used for stereo audio equipment, which means one side gets more priority over the other one. So right now we are having, I believe, the rhythm guitar on the left side. We have the rhythm guitar on the left side, and we have the lead guitar on the right side. So what's the difference between a rhythm and a lead guitar? The rhythm guitar usually plays the riffs, and the lead guitar usually plays the melodies. This was mostly popularized by rock bands, not so much metal bands, but it's also something that has kept its popularity because it then gives everybody a certain specialty. Also, if you see me particularly red or shiny, it is really hot and my AC broke. We're in the middle of a heat wave here in Hungary, so yeah, I'm sweating quite a bit. So yeah, now we have this. We have the left side. The rhythm guitar playing what we call a riff, and the lead guitar playing what we call the motif. So a riff is a colloquial term that has become popularized over time. It just means a musical idea that is more on the rhythmic side, chords, and smaller melodies that are secondary to the main melody. The motif, as I've explained many times, the smallest version of your musical idea, the seed from which everything else comes from. A motif is usually, a melody can have multiple motifs, and you can just experiment with that. And I like that we're getting both of them introduced at the same time over here. It's really a fairly interesting take, considering especially the music video. I'm not going to be judging the music video too much, mainly the audio. So let's see where they take it. Okay, that took a 180 very, very fast. So what I think happened here was it's one of these phased out. It almost sounded like it was from a distant radio introduction, which is a very useful deceptive technique to use. Because a lot of the times what you want to do in a song is that you want to introduce the main melody and then go off into something else. One of the most effective things to do is to introduce your main melody, the chorus for the song, the melody you're going to be using in the chorus at the start, and then go off. So Structure-wise, songs are fairly different from pieces, and in this channel we've mainly done LFAs on video game music, which have followed, the format A, B, A, or A, B, A prime, that kind of thing, all of these different, more classical. However, now we are dealing with a flat-out song. And songs, in this case, we had an intro, we were having an intro that is split into two parts. The first part was this introduction to what I think is going to be the chorus, the melody used in the chorus, and then we're having the actual entire band coming. Of course, songs can be divided into several sections, more often than not, that fall under roughly the same category. You can have an intro, you can have a verse, you can have a chorus, you can have a break, you can have a bridge, you can have a pre-chorus, a post-chorus, you can have, of course, the outro. There are many smaller sections that you can have, but basically the whole point is an intro. Of course, you're introducing the whole musical ideas, you're familiarizing the audience with what is happening. The verse is usually going through a lot of text. Usually this is going to be fairly bulky in terms of the amount of text that is sung, especially in metal. In other genres, not as much anymore, but usually a verse is going to be the most text heavy with the most variation. You can tell a story, you can start reciting a poem. It's more about telling and going through the lyrics and going through the verse. Not always has as much of the musical focus, and the musical focus is going to be more on, of course, the rhythm and everything else. Then a chorus is going to be the main melody. That's the spotlight. That's where you put all the catchy melodies, all the catchy everything. You repeat the same phrase over and over again, that kind of thing. It gives you that sense of extreme familiarity. A break is what it sounds like. You introduce something that gives you a break in between places. Many bands use this, usually followed by a breakdown, of course, another section that you can have is just instrumental. You can just have a pure on instrumental section. A bridge is usually something that is going to bridge many times a chorus with another chorus. It's very, very common for artists to do that in a way that it just hypes up the chorus a lot more. Pre-chorus, post-chorus, I don't think it needs too much explanation. It's just extra bits to build up or to resolve the chorus, and the outro, of course. An outro is that. You can also have instrumental parts, including solos, right? All that kind of stuff. Again, this is very stream of consciousness. And most of these things, the order that you want to put them into, the ways you want to implement them, and what you want to implement is always going to be based off of the concept of tension and resolution. When you're making music, you are making one of two things. You are building tension or you are resolving that tension. And there's this tiny gap over here that we call the cadence. A cadence is the moment that connects everything. This moment is one of the most crucial and critical things because it's what connects the different sections of your music with one another. This is when you usually will do modulations, which is going from one set of chords to another. This is usually when you will, of course, go from one section to another, all that kind of thing. And it can be very easy to mess up, and it can sometimes not be. So that aside, we got a little bit sidetracked there, but I just wanted to get that clear, because now we are in the second part of the intro. We have, blast beats, which blast beats just means drummer is playing the kick drum, usually with a double pedal, snare, and either the hi-hat or one of the other cymbals, all of them together at the same time over and over again. Da, 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 da. Usually it's that. And we brought the octaves down. So we went from having the guitars playing a riff and a melody very, very high up in the register. They're playing pretty high up, and now we brought it down. We brought it down to earth kind of moment that just lands you into this running start. Let's see how it goes. Okay, and another change. We are 20 seconds in, and this is already our second change in vibe completely. They are flowing surprisingly well. I think it's because of the same melodies. We might be using the same motifs over here, but now we are probably giving different previews of what is going to be happening throughout this, because this was a very, very catchy melody. You know, that was a very straightforward melody. This could be the chorus that we were expecting. The previous part could be the verse. The previous part could have been just an intro that has elements of both. But now we have this J-rock, J-metal, J-pop-ish vibe, especially with the video. You know, they are dancing and they are choreographed and everything. And it's very, very common for artists to do a specific choreography for the choruses. So it's yeah, I think we're getting a preview. This could be considered, in the classical world, you could even call this an overture. An overture is the introduction, quick summary of the entire thing that you're watching. Of course, overtures were, until like Tchaikovsky and Beethoven, mostly done for opera. And when it came to that, it was, you know, operas last 2, 3, 4 hours. There's an intermission for a reason, like you have to take a half an hour break in between the acts kind of thing. But the overture usually would be an introduction to the entire thing. Because when it comes to opera, the stories are usually stories that people already know. For example, in my case, I always talk about Mozart because Mozart is the best. He's not the best opera writer, objectively speaking, but I just love his operas. We have the story of Don Giovanni, which is the story of Don Juan, which was a series of very popular novels. And he tells, like, I think the final acts of that story. We have The Wedding of Figaro, which was another popular bit of literature at the time. Yeah, opera at the time was mostly what we now consider to be musical adaptations of different things. It was the equivalent of musicals. It's just the tools that they had at the time. And the thing is, people would go in already familiar with the story. You know, the Magic Flute, Das Rheingold, the Ring Cycle from Wagner, all of these. People would usually already be familiar with the story before going into the opera. But you don't know what the music is going to sound, so the overture is going to give you just that. The overture is going to give you an overview of the vibe of what you are about to experience and what is about to unfold for the next few hours. And if we take that concept and we reduce it to a 15-minute track, yeah, about 1 minute of overture sounds about right. So in this case, we are not just having an introduction, we are having a full-blown overture. We'll see if I'm right. We will see if I'm right. We'll see. We'll wait and see. Let's see. Let's check. Let's continue. Very beautiful melody, and okay, so we had that little break over there when it was just the guitar. That is a break. So we had a very quick 20-second, I'm going to call it an overture because it gave us a very broad idea, because now this sounds a little bit like that initial chunky riff that we heard, except now it's incorporating some of the elements from that very, very first introductory dual guitar panned thing that we had. And now, yeah, as you can see, this is when usually they growl. They are going through a lot of text really fast. And something else I wanted to point out was the concept of the flying melody. This is a colloquial term that I use. Colloquial in this case just means something that is not an official academic term, but people can understand easily what it means. So in this case, the flying melody, that's what I like to call it. The underside, the bass, the drums, the guitars, super busy, super heavy. And then you have a melody above that is a lot simpler and a lot more straightforward. And it gives you this feeling of flying above everything else. I love it. I love it. I try to use it as much as I can because it's such a cool and effective tool. Let's continue with the verse. Good growls. Ooh. Is that actually her? Is that actually her? If that is actually her, that's so cool, because those are some deep gutturals. Like those phrasing, but it's intentional. Those go deeper than I do. Like, when it comes to growling, it's like, I do Mongolian throat singing. That's where I first go with my stuff, and then I try to emulate growls based on that. Really, really cool having that contrast. It gives you a sense of call and response. Call and response being the concept of one musical instrument or one music does something, and the other music does something else in response. So we had the high screaming, now we have the low screaming. So it could be one of those things like conversation going on, or contrasting storylines, or contrasting concepts happening at the same time, depending on the lyrics. I usually don't analyze lyrics because I'm not good with lyrics. I'm good with music, and I can't read. I'm a streamer. I can't read. So it's one of those things that it's extremely effective, and it just helps you fill up time in such a fun way. So let's continue. Really cool guitar breaks. So, okay, so another thing I'm noticing, we are going really fast from idea to idea. We are introducing a lot of new ideas very fast. Very fast. I warn against this. It's a very risky move. It's one of the reasons genres like gent don't have popularity outside of the YouTube intellectual metal scene, right? Because if I were to ask you after this minute, hum me the melody, yeah, you can't. Yeah, you can't. So at this point, and they have had some very, very beautiful melodies. You have the one at the what would be the chorus. So first, I want to see where this is going, because it seems like they have multiple vocalists and they are giving each of them a specific vibe. So we had the first vocalist that was more on the thrash metal, high-pitched screaming. We had the second one, which was more on the chunky chugs and low growls. Now we had one which is more on the on the technical side. So it could just be their way of taking the concept of a leitmotif, which leitmotif is, of course, a type of motif, which a motif is a musical idea. A leitmotif is a repeating musical idea throughout several pieces. Popularized by Wagner when he decided, hey, I have the theme for Valhalla in the first opera. I love it. I'm just going to use it again whenever Valhalla is even mentioned. Ring Cycle, by the way, really, really good series of operas. It's 12 hours of opera, so if you want to endure that, it's where Tolkien got the idea for Lord of the Rings. But we have that, and I think we are extrapolating this concept. We might be extrapolating this concept and applying it to the sense of you are a band with 4 vocalists. I counted 4. It's either 3 or 4. I think it was 4. And when you have that many vocalists, you need to give each individual one their own stage. One of the reasons why baby metal and most idol groups work is because usually it's 3. It's fairly easy to handle 3 layers of vocals, because you can have more easy harmonizations. You can have very easy, not easy, but simpler, and it's easier to do this. So if you add a 4th one, unless you're doing something like a chorale, it's going to be difficult, especially in metal, that there's a lot of growling and there's a lot of gutturals and it's very just grungy. It's very easy for them to blend into one another. So if we extract the concept of the leitmotif and we apply it to each individual person, each individual singer will have their type of theme, and it could be their specialized type of singing that they have, which is what we've heard so far. However, I'm 58 seconds in. Let's continue. Yep, each one of them. And there we go. We have the first riff that we heard from the very, very start. We have a variation of that a little bit further up in the mix, a little bit higher, still panned to the right side. And yeah, there you go. It is 4 of them, so it looks like we have 3 gutturals, 1 clean singer. It could be that they all do clean singing as well. But now we have been cycling through the different vocalists very, very fast, to be honest. It's working, though. It's working. So, very interesting how they're pulling this off. This is very tricky, especially in the context of metal, because you don't have the luxury of an orchestra. Because with an orchestra, it's so easy to take. I mean, once you know what you're doing, right? It's so easy to take a 2-minute, 1-minute, 30-second idea and just stretch it over 25, 35, 45 minutes, right? It becomes a fairly simple thing because all of the different combinations that you can have. You don't fully have that with metal. I'm talking about just from the orchestration alone. There are so many things you can do with a small musical idea, most famously Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Ba-ba-ba-bam. That's the entire thing. That half-a-second motif is 45 minutes of music. The entirety of it is done. Of course, Beethoven is historically the best at the craft when it came to motivic development. So, that's a different story. But point here being, we are building up over here in a very creative way because each of these girls has a very distinct look to them. So, it's very easy to mix people up. But now, one of them has the blue hair. One of them has the long hair with the flower. One of them has this thing, I forget the name of the clips. And the other one has the short hair. So it's a fairly, and I mean, there's the costumes and everything, right? So we have the visual and now we also have the sound distinctions between them. Let's see where this goes. There we go. We brought some of the harmonies. Okay, we brought some of the harmonies, which, again, harmonizing just means you have more than one singer singing roughly the same melody, just from 2 different points in the scale. And we did something interesting. We almost switched the panning of the guitars. Now we have the high melody going on the left ear, but the right ear is not playing low chords. It's still playing up there. That I find interesting. Let's see where it goes. Okay, then we go back to going through the different. We're cycling in the same order. Okay, yeah, we're cycling in the same order. The singers, now we're doing it in a lot shorter bursts. We're likely building up to the chorus. And yes, each of them has these unique takes on the guitar and everything. Each of them has a very unique sound to them. I love that. I love giving each of them, because you have the first one, the high scream, the high pitched one. It's faster drums with the guitar going chunky, chunky, chunky. The second one, a little bit different now with the low growls. The third one, the guitar goes a little bit more on the technical side, doing more arpeggios. Arpeggios is when you play a chord 1 note at a time. And then it seems the fourth one is clean singing. And then after that, you have the harmonies. Let's see where it goes. Okay, there we go. So we're going back and forth. There you go. This is likely the chorus. This is the chorus. So it didn't go the melody that I thought it was going to go, but they are mostly singing lyrics, and the melody that I saw at the start didn't have lyrics. So that could be like the post chorus, a hook or something like that you can add to it. It's interesting to hear them be in kind of sets of 2. Like, they decided to not complicate the harmony because doing 4-part harmony is a challenge. It's a big challenge. It was my biggest weakness when it came to vocals when I learned how to compose music. I'm still not very good at it, like composing for people. And usually when you compose for a chorale, you do what is called the SATB: soprano, alto, tenor, and bass, which usually means you have two women, a soprano, or two sections of women: sopranos, which are the high register of women; altos, which are the low register of women; tenors, who are the high register of men; and basses, who are the low register of men. And of course, you can have the middle ones if you want to really go forward. You can have the MSA TBB, which is soprano, mezzo soprano, which is usually either the middle range or has both ranges; tenor, baritone, which is the same thing but for men; and then bass. And the problem with that is it's very easy for vocals to sound very conflictive and dissonant. It's very easy to mess up vocal arrangements. So it's a very tricky thing. So what they basically did is they took their melodies. So we have four girls singing, and we just had two sets of two melodies, and that's it. They just decided, okay, 1 and 3 are gonna do melody A, and 2 and 4 are gonna do melody B. And there we go. Problem solved, which is a very orchestral thing to do, especially when it comes to stuff like French horns. When it comes to the French horn in an orchestra, you can have many French horns, but it's common to have anywhere between 2 and 4. And whenever you have two sets of French horns, for some reason, I don't really know why this is. Well, and I was not expecting this during an offline recording. But when it comes to that kind of thing, you will have French horns 1 and 3 playing one part, and then French horns 2 and 4 playing another part. This is just how the orchestral standards are. I believe it's because of how they're seating in the arrangement of the seats. I'm not entirely sure. I can't remember it right now. That's not the focus of the point. The focus is, yeah, they figured out a very simple solution to a very evident problem, and I like it. Let's continue. It's a beautiful melody, too. And so yeah, you heard that change between the two, that moment between the two parts of this chorus. That was a beautiful cadence. And I like how every once in a while you do have these two sets of melodies, and every once in a while one of them will jump out of that and do a little bit of additional arrangements, additional adornments to it, to kind of bring out their personality. I couldn't fully catch, and I can't tell their voices apart yet, because I've been only listening to this band for about 2 minutes. But it would be interesting if the shapes of their melodies coincided with the previous singing that they were doing. You know how one of them was doing high screaming, having that one going up when she's doing the extra adornments in the melody, the one who was doing the low growls, that one going down, that kind of thing. That would be super interesting. That would be way too much thought put into this kind of thing, but I think it would be super cool. Maybe it's happening. I'm not entirely sure. Let's continue. I like that. Oh, okay, a break. Very, considering everything else we've heard, that is such a simple riff, and it's just so much fun. It's not a breakdown, it's nothing like that, but it's just so straightforward and so fun and so refreshing, because so far we've had a very, very, almost overwhelming amount of sound coming to us. So having these short moments of a break, really cool stuff. Let's continue. And there you go, another moment of, and one of the most useful tools for musicians: silence. We are now going to a completely different direction. Of course, it's a 15-minute track, so there's a lot that they can build up. After that, now we're going with a clean verse. Let's see where this goes. Okay. I really like this drum. I can hear the piano in the background. I can hear the piano in the background going absolutely bonkers at this. There are so many shifts over here, and I am liking them as the individual musical ideas. I do hope they build up more on these, because 15 minutes of shifting too much between, and constantly shifting and always shifting, that's tricky. That is a big risk. That is a big risk that they would be taking. Let's see where they take it. Whoa. Okay. So we are embracing the tonal whiplash fully. These sections are extremely short for such a long song. I was not expecting, we haven't had a section, maybe the chorus lasted a little bit longer than 40 seconds, but everything else is between 10 and 25 seconds so far. And again, that is a risky move. And this is and we're having this very djenty sounding riff, which I personally dislike djent as a concept. Especially where it was taken, the extreme that it was taken over in the YouTube sphere. It's the way I see academic classical music. It's all very intellectualized, and it shows a lot of skill, and it shows an insane degree of mastery of rhythm, but musically, it doesn't really hit for me. So, yeah, very skilled of them. I want to see where they take this, though. Okay, back to the melodic death metal. So it was more of a break kind of thing. Nice. Okay, back we go to the back and forth. Back we go to the chorus. I gotta say, they're very cute, but then again, I am weak to Asian women and to blondes. That's like my two weaknesses, so I'm just throwing that out there. They're all cute. I really like the back and forths that they are keeping, even though the riffs aren't exactly the same, the themes behind each vocalist are staying roughly the same. And I like that level of consistency, because I have not felt... yes, there were a couple of moments of tonal whiplash. That was more like the break section, where they were just shifting gears kind of thing, but they shifted to the wrong gear and they have to correct, but that was an intentional part of the plot kind of thing. And I liked that after that, each vocalist has kept their overall theme, and that's where the sense of familiarity has kept me with. Because when it comes to music, if you want to keep a listener engaged, you want to keep them with a sense of familiarity. Which is why whenever you do an intro or an overture or something like that, you want to ease people into the musical ideas. You want to introduce them slowly but surely. And in this case, we are throwing a lot. We're still kind of doing that, but in the concept of metal. So instead of throwing it in the form of riffs, we're throwing it in the form of themes. So each vocalist has a theme to her so far, and it has stayed more or less consistent. And we're also having the structural part of, before the chorus, the pre-chorus, I guess, is going to have the back and forth between the high and the low growls, speeding up, and then the chorus. Let's see where it goes. So yeah, another thing that I just noticed is having them sing so close in terms of the melodies, and only having them really kind of do a unison kind of thing. I forgot completely about the concept of just a crowd, of the sound of a crowd singing. Of course, they're all singing the same notes more or less. I do hear a little bit of harmonies here and there, and it's the idea. It made me think of Skyrim. I know this is completely left field, but the theme from Skyrim, when you hear the Dovakin, 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 that's sung by a massive chorus of men, and they're all roughly singing the same note. So it just gives you that sense of volume. It's similar to how violins, when you have in an orchestra, you will have sections of violins and violas and cellos, where it's just a bunch of people playing the same thing. It gives you that sense of amplification, but at the same time, it gives you that sense of the collective, and it just ties things together in such a cool way. And this is also reminding me of this progression in the chorus, the way that it speeds up. It's reminding me of an anime opening. Koshitan, oh, fuck. Shiga noko 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 koshitantan. Hear the chorus of this song, and then hear when the Shika noko noko koshitantan. I haven't even watched the anime. I've only heard the intro. When they are going into that false, into that deceptive cadence, and they just speed up, it's almost the same thing. I mean, this is more metal, of course, but that's what it reminded me of. All right. Okay, and now this time, I like how they keep you guessing, but at the same time, they bring all this stuff. Because the first time around, we had that moment, and it resulted on the breakdown, on the... it wasn't even a breakdown, it was just a full-on break. I guess a different way of breaking down, because the music kind of completely broke down there for a second in the first time. Like, they went in several places, and then they took back on track, kind of like doing a flip in the middle of a sprint kind of thing. It felt very, very odd, but it fit, weirdly enough. I guess that's just Japanese magic for you. So, I don't know what the Japanese do with their music, dude. They can always make this kind of stuff just fit. Let's continue, because it sounds like we are going on an instrumental break, might be going on a guitar solo. Let's check it out. I like their makeup too. Really cool. There we go, guitar solo. Okay. As a guitar solo enjoyer and composer, if y'all have seen the jam and shreds that I do, that I love doing, it's, I don't employ the same kind of principles that I do when I actually write a solo. What I like doing when I write a solo is I engage in a melody first, which this guy did, and then I go completely bonkers with the shredding, right? He did something similar, but it was a change of vibe as well. Still good. He started a breakdown. I want to see where this goes. With that panning again. Alright, nice. We're touching so many subgenres here. Nice. Again, the tonal whiplash that we are getting here is absolutely insane. Let's continue. Still, I like that slowing down. Slowing down here, pretty good. We have the strings. We have the strings doing a imitation to an extent of the original motif that we heard at the start. So they are revisiting some of these ideas. They are bringing them back. Like, this melody is pretty fairly similar to the one of the chorus. So they are revisiting these ideas, and it is working. Even though it's such a hectic and frantic set of changes. Like, this is pretty proggy. Like, it's pretty progressive metal. And it's pretty borderline for me. Like, it's almost to the extent of... It's dancing on the line of incoherent random riffs, but it is saving itself right before I can draw that conclusion. This is really good. See where this goes. Very beautiful with the extra percussion. Back to the metal. Okay. Build up again. Really good, very good. Let's see where you go. Again, I am biased against Gent. They already had the super heavy breakdown, so I guess taking it the other way musically for them makes sense. I just don't like Gent. I just don't like Gent because this doesn't feel heavy enough. This doesn't feel metal enough. This just feels like these guys took their math homework from like senior year of high school and just took all the numbers and decided to somehow transpose that into a bunch of rhythms. That is my qualm with Gent. That is my qualm with Gent. I appreciate that this is kept, like, this visits a lot of different subgenres so far. We have visited a lot. We've gone from power metal to melodic death metal, thrash metal, death metal. We're just bouncing back and forth. But yeah, that's one of the qualms I have with Gent, that a lot of the times the riffs are more done as math homework rather than they're taking more the approach of math homework than they are of the artistic expression of making music, right? So let's see where they take it. Let's see where they take it. Nice tapping. Harmonized tapping, very nice. I like that. I like that melody. I like that melody, how it built. A lot of stuff happening here. Not really. It's a lot of, sounds like they're giving the drummer a solo without actually giving him a solo. Bass solo! Let's go! Let's go, bass solo! This is how you know your bass player is unbelievably good. If you have... It applies for pretty much anyone in the band. Mainly bass players. If you have a bass player who is just... this works with bass players, guitarists, usually pianists as well. You just have someone who's fat. You know this guy spends 16 hours a day practicing, and it shows for this guy. This guy's incredible. Like, I've been keeping track of some of the bass lines that he's doing. Some really insane things. Some really, really insane stuff. I like the concept of the masks and everything. Is really fun. But yeah, no, it's one of those things that if you see a band, and especially in Japan, right, with all the J-pop and everything, you see all these super pretty girls. They're in good shape. They're very pretty. They're dolled up. And now you see this guy. He's on his sneakers, a black shirt, and a sagging black pants. He's doing whatever he wants. He dressed up however he wanted. He probably compromised with the mask. And they were, you know what? He probably wrote half of this by himself. And they're not going to question him one bit. Usually bass players are some of the greatest contributors to music, unless you get something like, I don't know, Seven Spires, where it's, you know, Adrian and Jack, the singer, and Adrian does the orchestration, so she's the composer, and then Jack just helps produce the rest. I know that they have a more symbiotic thing going on, but I'm just rambling here. Let's continue. Bass solo. He should have had a longer bass solo. Okay. So yeah, very Polyphia, this section over here. And again, Polyphia, very genty. The insane amount of talent these guys have is... This is incredible. Like, seeing this, especially in the music video, seeing them play it, hearing the notes going all over the place, it's incredible. It still has a certain level of doesn't land for me. Does not take away a single bit about the craftsmanship that these guys have. It's just not landing for me. But that's just Gent. I'm biased against it again. still. Like, listen to that, dude. It's insane. Yeah, they gave the girls enough of a break, so really good. Like, they are insanely good. This is insane. There we go. They can come back from break. Okay, we're going towards smaller, slower. I really like that overall how this changed. This ended up working a lot better than I expected. Because we were going through all of these... So, by the way, when it comes to gent, they rely a lot on syncopation. Syncopation is to play against a beat. And what makes it tricky with gent is that it's also the drummer doing that. So it makes it sound very confusing, which is what this previous section sounded like, because they're all playing what is called a tutti. That was a tutti, just now. With all of them playing pretty much the same thing in their own version, and their own instrument, you know, transposed for their own instruments. And the syncopation there's, of course, the metronome that you have the time signatures that you have, and they were all playing very much against that in a very, very tricky way. But at the end of the day, all of that, I really appreciate how drawing all of these very interrupted lines, chopping everything so much in between, because that's how gent sounds a lot of the time. Like, it's interrupting itself and getting its own way. They ended up using that to build to this 6/8 beautiful thing. So, by the way, when it comes to 6/8, again, time signature, top number, how many notes, bottom number, what kind of notes, which of the notes. Whites is one, not whites. Whole notes is one I was thinking in Spanish terms. Whole notes is one, half notes is two, quarter notes for, eighth notes is 8. And when it comes to this, the 6/8, very dance-like, very waltzy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It gives you this very dance-like feeling, and them using all of this gent and solos and everything to transition into this from what we came from before, it ended up working really well. It ended up working surprisingly well. I was not expecting it to land the way it did. That was really good. So yeah, you can hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we have some orchestration in the back as well. You know, we have the a horn there, I think. Some maybe trumpet. We have some of the strings. We have some orchestral percussion. And it's adding to that majesty to it, because whenever you add orchestral elements to something, it gives it a very more majestic, more royal kind of feeling. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. I'm just keeping track here. And again, we're having the themes, right, with the vocalists, and they're staying consistent. It's really cool. It's building up more orchestra. Slow it down. Where are we going? Wow. Okay, we went from a 6/8 to a 4/4. That was smooth. Considering, so that's what the orchestra is building towards. And I like this little moment, these moments of breathing that they're giving the track. It's taking, this is a journey. This is a full journey. I wish I could read to understand what they're saying. Very beautiful. And they're panning the voices as they appear in the video. It's really cool. Back, and now we're building even further up. I like the polyrhythms that they are doing. Polyrhythms, of course, the concept polyrhythm. it's the concept of more than one rhythm. It's the rhythmic equivalent of counterpoint. Counterpoint is when you have more than one melody working together. So what we're having here, right? We're having in 6/8, and we have the 6 beats in the measure, which is usually divided into 2 subdivisions of 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So when you have a polyrhythm, you can have very different things with this. For example, you could have a 3/4 over a 6/8. Does that mean anything to you? Probably not. But the thing is, with a 3/4, it has the same number of eighth notes. They're just subdivided differently. Because in 3/4, we are talking about quarter notes. And quarter notes would be happening here. So while the 6/8 goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the 3/4 goes 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So when you combine the two of them, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And in the same time, you are going to have the other one, instead of going in those groups of 3s, going in the groups of 2s. So it's going to clash that way, which they are employing some of that every once in a while. Maybe not this specific thing, but it's giving a very cool sense of there's a lot going on. And of course, the orchestration is really nice, considering how relatively simple the orchestration is. Pretty good. Yeah, it's mostly horns, yeah. Trumpets. Again, with a change, very abrupt change. Is that a flute? Oh, it's a harpsichord for sure, but... flute, yeah. So yeah, we decided to just change the scenery completely once again. I do have to say, this is a hell of a journey. We are now 8 minutes into this, and we have yet to fully revisit any of the themes that we have dealt with so far. That is a big risk. That is a massive risk, in my opinion. I am of the opinion of... oh, sorry. Wrong button here. I am of the opinion of just develop the music that you have. Develop the music that you have, because them coming up with 15 minutes of music like this, really cool. Like, there are some themes that we did see, like the chorus. We saw it twice over here. We might see it a couple of other times, depending on the symmetry here. But a lot of the other things are feeling to me like filler. Like, they are putting a lot of this stuff really difficult to play, really insanely well crafted, but if you were to remove it from the song, how different would the song feel? Because we had that that genty moment over there, like the bass, from the bass solo to the tutti that we had to that 6/8. That was brilliant, and I don't think you could, if you took that one of those two away, then the other two would feel like complete tonal whiplash, and it would probably make you just tune out. But some of these other parts have given me that feeling of, I could probably remove this from the song, and what would change with the overall vibe? So again, that's one of the risks of constantly making new, completely new, unrelated, because the motifs are very rarely revisited. They are very, very rarely revisited. So that would be a criticism that I have of these guys, because each of these ideas are brilliant. These are incredibly well-made ideas, and unless this comes from a concept album, well, that's why I brought this one on, like, where is this? Affinity by Haken, where they have a bunch of tracks that build onto one another, and then it all culminates with The Architect. By the way, if you want a really good concept album, Affinity by Haken, really good stuff, prog metal and everything. So unless you're doing something like this, and this track is kind of the climax of a larger album, and we are revisiting parts of the other songs of the album, unless we're doing something like this, there are a lot of brilliant ideas that we've had from the very beginning and everything that I would like to hear more, that I would like to see revisited, especially considering how well these guys have been at just building up whatever it is that they're doing. They have the skill. They all have the skill. I'm pretty sure most of it is the bassist, but they have the skill and they have the chops for it. It's just really difficult to fully grasp, okay, is this part truly crucial to the song? Are we gonna build up on it later, or is this just a one and done? Is this a massive stinger that we're using? Let's continue. Like, I'm still loving this. Like, as I was saying, these guys are insanely good. They're insanely talented. But this is a big risk that they're taking structurally. Let's see. So yeah, it's a continuation of what we had earlier, that little dance from before. So, still this... Alright, let's see where we go. Okay, another bass solo. Let's see where this goes. Let's see where this goes. Funk. Nice. Full-on funk. Again, the amount of genres we're visiting that these guys are just showing pure domain over, this is pure funk. We just went to funk. We went from this beautiful, like, orchestral break to funk. And the transition was brilliant. These transitions are brilliant. This is insane. Good, yeah. Nice. A trumpet solo with the guitar, nice. Nice, nice, nice. Very nice of them for letting the trumpet player do something. Oh, I like this. Okay, another moment of orchestration. Very nice. So now we go full Broadway, like... Main Street USA. Again, the tonal whiplash here is insane. They're pulling it off. They are pulling it off. It's just insane. It's going to so many places. Very beautiful harmonies there. And now they're taking turns. This is beautiful. Like, their voices are so beautiful. Undoubtedly. They're going like a marching band. You can tell how much they're enjoying this. You can tell how much they're enjoying this. Like, I'm not trying to knock them down when I'm giving them the criticism that I am, because they are just completely owning up every single one of these. I'll save the big criticism for later, but let's see. It's got a ukulele and everything. Except the bass player. Except the bass player. He stays with the bass stays. The bass stays. Yeah, the drummer can bring his snare. The guitarist can bring like a smaller one. No, the bass stays. The bass comes with us. Like Felicia stays with us, and I'm not going anywhere on camera without Felicia. Yeah, you can tell he runs the show. I love him. I love him. Okay. Very nice, very lovely contrast going back to that 6/8. And the video is beautiful too, the skin, everything. And now we're going back to that 6/8. Okay, good. We went back to the 6/8. We're revisiting that, and now we're giving it a more mischievous aspect to it. I like this. We're finally connecting some of the bits that we had a little bit further behind. We're issuing a little bit of a stronger connection. Now, instead of being the pure dance, now we're bringing it to a more like marching, mischievous place. Let's continue. I'm gonna refill my water bottle. Nice. Beautiful. I love the orchestration. The orchestration here is absolutely brilliant. And orchestration, of course, being picking which instruments play what. We have the violins. I think we probably have a full string orchestra. We have the tuba. We have the percussion. I think we still have the trumpet and everything. It's just really, really nice. The snare, just adding the snare here where it didn't happen in the previous section, really accentuates so many things. Really cool. Alright, bring it back. Yep. We finally brought it back. There we go. We brought it back with the orchestra now. Now that is how you recapitulate. That is how you recapitulate. We finally are bringing it back to the very, very beginning. Straight to the pre-chorus. Break, okay. Oh, they're bracing the fist, similar to how they did at the start. No horns, though. Okay, they finally tied in the first few verses. It took them time, but they tied them in. Good, good. This is what I'm talking about. That recapitulation is super important when it comes to pieces like this one. Really fun riffs too. And yeah, and we still have the themes of each of the singers. I like that. I like that. I like how each singer has their own style of how the riff is supposed. That's gonna be really difficult to compose. That's gonna be pretty difficult to compose. That, yeah, we're gonna make the riff, but the riff needs to have these elements, and the drums, like the entire band needs to have these elements, so that when this singer sings or growls, we know that it's her. That's gonna be very difficult. That's gonna be very, very... Again, like, so many of these things must have taken a lot of just craftsmanship and skill to build. It's insane. Oh, we finally got a, like a crowd one. Like a crowd incitement. Nice. And back to the chorus. Nice. And yeah, something that you want to do in your chorus always is simplify the melody. And this is such a beautiful melody. They all have such beautiful voices. That's something I love about women's voices, dude. Especially when it comes to Japanese voices. They have such a sweet timbre to them. So that with the contrast of metal, I love that. I love that. It's like sweet, you know, like, not bittersweet. It's sweet and sour. Sweet and sour kind of thing. Yep. Yeah, that part. It's not their fault. It just sounds like Shiko Noko 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 Koshitantan. It just does. It just does. I don't think they meant for it. If they did, considering the bass player, I respect the balls of putting that in the song. Because it sounds great. It sounds great. It just reminds me of it. It reminds me of it. I'm not gonna play it here because of copyright. I don't wanna involve anime copyright onto this. But just Shika Noko 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 Koshi Tan Tan. The intro for whatever deer anime that was, the brain rot one. And it's just, it's that same musical idea. It's almost the same musical idea. It's insane. The resemblance is insane. Not this part though. Oh, I like this. Now we take it. We flip the chorus upside down. We flip the whole thing upside down. Now it's the guitars and the drums going slow. I don't think the drums is that, it's the orchestral percussion, I think. And now the guitars carry the melody while these ones carry the riff. But they're still singing. Oh, that's really cool. Really cool. Really cool way of flipping things. Really cool form of inversion. I like that they're taking a lot of these very academic concepts, extrapolating them, and applying them to the ensemble. Because first we had the concept of the leitmotif. Now we're having the concept of inversion. The idea of inversion, it's a fairly straightforward concept. Inversion, it can mean many things, right? Like when it comes to a chord, let's say you have a chord with notes 1, 2, and 3, right? And the concept of inversion usually would mean, you know, the 3 here is the lowest note, taking 3 and putting it over here above 1, so that you have 3, 1, 2. That is one way of doing inversion. Another one, when it comes to melody, is let's say you have a melody that looks like this. That's way too complicated a shape. Let's just say you have a melody that goes like this, and now you are going to flip it into a melody that goes like this. I guess basically mirroring the melody. And causing an inversion of it, kind of like a reflection of it vertically. The concept of doing the change horizontally would be a retrograde. That's a different type of thing, right? But they're applying the inversion to the ensemble itself, because we had the vocalists with the melody and the guitars with the chords, with the grunginess, with the chunky. Then we flipped it on its head. Now it's the guitars with the melody and the singers with chunky chunk. I am really happy with that. Let's see. We're about to finish the song. Let's see. Now just let the guitars do their melody. Very nice. Okay. Some of the some of the melodies that we heard on this section, good. Yeah, we're in outro territory. We're 100% on outro territory over here. Let's see what it's taking. All right, I can read that. I can understand that. We finally bring back that very first thing we heard, but now there's a couple of extra elements. Really good way of recapitulating. This is really good. This is master level. And we finish it with a breakdown. When did this come out? 2025. Okay, this is from last week. And there you go. We break the whole thing down. The way they did the outro is also very classically made. Like, you just take the different concepts that you've done and you just break them apart, and you just basically deconstruct the whole thing until you reach that final note. There you have it. I think this just bleeds out. Yeah, it's just a bleed out. So yeah, a bleed out is basically just letting the chords ring until the end, right? And there you have it. That was追憶のナスカ, or at least that's what Google tells me this is how you pronounce this. That was a trip. Really masterclass in recapitulation. My only criticism would be the gent part over here, a good chunk of the gent part. That's just because I don't like gent. So that's on me. That's mainly on me. I really liked the way they recapitulated things. I was worried that they wouldn't visit some of these things, and they did. So they introduced a lot of concepts, and they actually revisited them. My only criticism of this one would be some of these were so musically different and so detached from everything else, and there were like only 3 or 4 of them, considering all the ideas that we heard, that I am not upset that they are here. I am upset if they are not their own songs, kind of thing. But overall, as a composition, this was so well made. It was insanely well made. These guys, I'm subscribed to their YouTube channel. Like they made a fan out of me. This was really, really good. Broken by the Scream, really, really good band. You cannot convince me that the bass player doesn't run like 70% of this show. Like this guy, just hearing that bass solo, it makes you realize, yeah, this guy's probably the one who spends his entire time just writing this music. They convinced him to come out and shoot the music video. They convinced him to go to the studio and everything, and he said, "Yeah, but only if I have Felicia with me." I don't know if he names his instruments or not. Only if I have Felicia and I get to dress however the fuck I want. And he did, So I love them. Absolutely brilliant. Very small criticism with that of the. It's not so much that I didn't like the music itself. Of course, gent is not my thing. Because of the explanation I already gave. It's the concept that these parts, you could take them out and make their entire songs out of it. I hope they do. I hope they have. Again, this is my first time encountering this band, which absolutely brilliant. And yeah, so if you want an example of how a piece of music can go really, really well for 15 minutes, The Architect by Haken. This one, really, really well. It just had a few moments of tonal whiplash. Most of them landed pretty, pretty well. Some of them not as much. And I wouldn't say that they didn't land. I would say is that the amount of craftsmanship and skill that they have here led me to have higher expectations. So I was expecting, because they landed so many of the transitions at the very beginning, like full on 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10 kind of landing transitions. And then occasionally we have a 6 or a 7, right? Which I can't blame them for it. They can't always be perfect. But it still was something that I noticed. And it would draw me away from the song. Which is, again, one of the risks of having this kind of constantly shifting, constantly changing dynamic. Because if you don't fully land that change, you just dragged me out of the song. Now the inertia, there was an inertia there, and you didn't land it the way that you should have. And now I'm out here. I'm thrown off. It was very easy for them to drag me back in, so it's not like it mattered much, but it still happened. And that's one of the risks of this kind of thing. Still, I can appreciate that they took them and that it overwhelmingly worked. That was just insane. So there you go. That was追憶のナスカ. This is already an hour and 12 minutes. There you go. Phantom, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope anybody else who watches this enjoyed it. Once again, this is Basterd's LFA. I can't believe I just sat here for an hour and 12 minutes rambling about this song, but it was worth it. I enjoyed it a lot, and if you did as well, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you follow the Twitch, the Kick, whichever platforms you want to watch this from. Join the Discord. Like the video, share the video, and if you want to request songs, we now have the Discord. Turns out asking you to just mention them in a comment was a big mistake. So yeah, we have a Discord channel for that now. Join the Discord and just drop the YouTube link on the LFA. I will review them, make sure that they are that they're good for this. So I'm thinking of how I'm gonna do the rules for this now. At the time of recording, I'm still not done fully figuring it out, but I have a good idea of how we're gonna do this to be able to do songs that aren't video game soundtracks. I have a good idea of how to do these. I am just still figuring this out. Either way, there you have it. Really, really good stuff. I enjoyed this. I really did. So there you have it. Broken by the Scream. They made a fan out of me. But yeah, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go take a shower now because I'm sweating tons. So thank you for watching. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, notifications, all that. See you on stream. Bye bye.